So Chelsea 3, Wolves 1 is how it finishes. Let's take a look at what that means. At the top of the table in the Premier League, Chelsea's ambitions very much set, aren't they, on a Champions League place, and that is where they sit at the moment, fourth. Now 2 points clear of Manchester City. For more on this, let's welcome Melchiot and Nedum Onuoha joins us, Mario Melchiot.
Oh, I think Mario's going to be very excited for this Chelsea win.
Mario, how excited were you about this Chelsea win? Because, to be honest, we were a bit bored.
No, the game wasn't great. It wasn't a great game to watch, but I was definitely happy. Like, Craig is right. Yeah, I got a smile on my face. But excited, no, I'm not yet there. I'm not there yet. But I watched the game, of course. I think it was an important win for them because, come on, 6 games now. It was the first win in all the 6 they played already. So I think for that case, it was a good one, and always a struggle against the Wolves. I mean, it's never easy for them. You know, when Wolves turns up, I don't know what they have. They have something that they just make it up. Yeah, they compete in the right way, and I think that makes it really difficult for them to open up to them. And I think there was a moment in the game where I saw Cancelo sitting on the floor, you know, complaining about an injury. Chelsea gets back on their feet, and they start the game again, and they never got into it, and Wolves started to believe they could win the game. I think that was kind of the turning point in the second half. They picked things back up, and it happened again towards the end of the game. So they have to be careful that they don't start, you know, the last 10, 15 minutes, let opponents come back into the game, because then you cannot kill games off.
Yeah, given the precedent, it was just about getting it done today.
Yeah, I'm also like that with the Chelsea victory. It really brings a big smile to my face.
Well, anything brings big smiles to you.
Yeah, I'm easily pleased.
Easily pleased. Yeah, very much so.
I thought Dewsbury Hall did well coming in, you know, and they've got a few injuries, but you're right, they had to get back to winning ways. That their fight is for the top 4. There's no doubt about it. That's the best they're going to do after the recent sort of, we'll call it a wobble.
Definitely a wobble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was only a few weeks ago we were talking about them being in there with Arsenal and Liverpool. That's sort of fallen away. They won't get that back. The other 2 are certainly too good. But now, you know, Jackson's lost a bit of form, but as I say, they got the job done without being brilliant. I think Wolves have. That's another game when they've lost 3. They've just gone a bit flat. So I think Wolves are a better team than they look, but Chelsea in the end were just too strong. There's not a lot to say about it. Reece James got another 70-odd minutes after his fitness issues that he's had for quite some time, so that's a huge bonus for them. And Cucurella continues to just, you know, pop up with things that make a difference, whether it's defensively or scoring goals or getting into the box. So a positive win for Enzo Maresca, but we know where his fight is.
Is Sanchez a liability?
He's been good for Chelsea thus far. And I don't see Sanchez as being the answer for Chelsea if they are going to be playing like in the Champions League next. As Craig was saying, he could have punched back onto your line, just go over the crossbar, give them another corner. You could do anything but that. He also had a couple of nervy moments early on in the second half. But again, for the expectation around Chelsea, Sanchez is okay, but if you want to continue finishing top 4, if you're going to be competing in the Champions League, I'm not sure he's the guy you rely on.
Chelsea signed him. He was number 2. He was number 1 at Brighton, then he was number 2. And he came into Chelsea, I think, as number 2. Ironically, for the most part, with his hands, he's been not bad.
His feet has been...
The bigger problem has been with his feet, which I think it tells you where we are. We'd never have had this discussion in that man's day, because goalkeepers were not asked to do what they're asked to do now, and the sort of passing out from the back, the being calm on the ball and composed and making the right options is something that the modern day goalkeeper is asked to do, particularly in the Premier League, but in other leagues at the elite level, not so much down the pyramid. They're taking the ball in the 6-yard box. They're having to let it run across their body. They're having to chip it over forwards to get it to the fullback, and that's been a bit of a problem for him. It seems to be a problem for a lot of goalkeepers now, but the ones that make the less mistakes seem to be the ones that are more popular. And if you're a half-decent goalkeeper, but you're really good with your feet, it seems that you're
giving a pass.
You're much more... There's many more clubs want you or are interested if you are kind of average with really good feet rather than average with your feet and a really good goalkeeper. That's the way the game has swung.
Let me also say, I found this game so kind of one-paced. At no point did Wolves...
ESPN FC are negative towards Chelsea. They want them to go and get a result. They get a result and they can't find anything to say about it.
I said the game. I said, and to Chelsea's credit, they just did what they had to do. They've got better players. They didn't have to do anything special and go out and win the game. But we were having a conversation during the game. At 1-1, we were saying, Wolves isn't a bad team, you know. And then all of a sudden, we're like, oh, Wolves are awful. Wolves at no point, other than those set pieces...
Well, you said that.
other than these set pieces, offered nothing and didn't test Chelsea in any way. And again, to Chelsea's credit, they just managed those, apart from the set pieces, and just allow their quality to be the difference. But as a game, it just fell kind of flat.
We're negative against
negative.
We're negative against everybody, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nedum's always positive. Nedum, what do you have to say? Anything you'd like to add?
Oh, Chelsea's so good. You know what I mean? The determination to break that back run that they were on. No, I think, in fairness, like, from watching the game, I understand what the guys were saying. It wasn't the most entertaining of matches, but for Chelsea, they're a side that needed a win. They needed a result. And, you know, guys were talking about Sanchez. Like, for me, he's obviously made that mistake. But as they were saying, like, when you listen to the crowd when he has the ball at their feet, his own fans are anxious. And when it's like that, like, the keeper can hear it. When you play on that pitch, you can hear every bit of this. So it's not like confidence is going to be high. But, again, to talk about Wolves, for as good as we think that they are in terms of the nice play that they have with Cunha, you know, Guedes, people like that, the midfield looks nice, defensively look all right. They've got the worst defensive record in the Premier League. So even when it was at 1-1 and they started the second half really well, did we believe that this was where the tide was going to change? Unfortunately not. That's 51 goals conceded in the league this year and 19 from set pieces. And as a context, like, that's one away from how many Liverpool and like Arsenal have conceded this season in total. So in reality, like, this is the way the game was always going to end up. But, you know, for Chelsea, it's good for them to stop that bad run they were on.
Mario, have you had a goal robbed from you? Carlos Tevez done one on you as well?
I didn't have it. No, I didn't have it, but when I saw that he was taking that goal, come on, we know, like, he did not see no boot or anything in his left eye or whatever we want to call it. That dude was clearly watching and saying, I'm taking it, Craig, I'm telling you. He said, none of that, I'm taking it.
Are we really talking about that?
No, but what I have to say, hey, you know what, I do have to give Chalobah a compliment, because I think the way he came back to that team, you know, first you're left out, then you're not part of the team, you go to a new team, then you're there, then they call you to come back, and then you turn up, and your first game you play like this. And he kicked off the game. I saw him straight away. He was ready for the game. The tackles he was making, he was focused.
Yeah. Deserved the goal.
I was very happy for him, because coming back to a team, it's very, very difficult. In the moment when they just call you last minute and you're almost out of it and you're thinking, oh, let me carry on. Because this was a player that was not even part of that dressing room. And then you got to come back. Whew, that is a tough one to take, guys.
Did his job.
You know what capped it off? You know what capped off that performance?
What?
Goal.
Exactly, but no. Greedy is what we saw. Just a reminder, it's the penultimate.
Is this under 14s football we're talking about here?
This is the penultimate round of Champions League matches tomorrow. Some exciting ties, and we'll be looking back at them on the next edition of the show.